Call a third quarterly meeting to order. I want to welcome everyone here. We start a new academic year. I know our interest is in the university student body here. I feel like we have an outstanding board of regents that are strictly interested in our university and our holding interest in our very busy. I personally look forward to working with each of you this year. Here, all work toward that end. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Regent Bell.
Present.
Regent Ball. Present. Regent Brinkley.
Present.
Regent Robbie.
Present.
Regent Edison. Present. Chair Miller.
Present.
Regent Nichols.
Oh, she's got her mic muted. There we go.
Yeah. Present.
Read your lips.
Regent Spiller.
Present.
Vice Chair, yes, present. Regent Curtis.
Present.
11 regents ready.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Nichols, welcome to you on Zoom. We're certainly happy to have you with us today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
We are very pleased today to have two new regents. Read a short bio on each of these regents. We all know something about them, but this perhaps will inform you a little bit more. Cynthia J. Nichols, CJ, is a 1982 graduate of Western Kentucky University with an Associate of Science degree in Healthcare Administration. CJ is a retired accountant from an electric company in Shelby County, Kentucky. She also worked for Pampa Palms Elementary School, assisting visually impaired children. CJ passionately supports higher education through her student-focused volunteer endeavors. She is the treasurer and advisor for the Edward and Frances Beckley Scholarship Fund, supporter and funder of WKU Intercultural Student Engagement Center, initiator and funder of Little Extra HOPE Fund, the Dr. Martin Sales Scholarship Fund, and the Monday Scholarship Fund. CJ currently resides in Hartford, Pennsylvania with her husband, George, where she enjoys all painting in her free time. Sam Kurtz, our student representative and student regent, is a junior from Bowling Green, Kentucky, majoring in business administration, a minor in political science. Sam is a third-generation Hilltopper and has displayed his WKU spirit from a young age. The first registered student organization Sam joined was Sigma Chi Epsilon, and a week later he was elected as the freshman senator of the Student Government Association. He served on the Legislative Operations Committee and worked with members of Airmark to improve the on-campus dining experience. He also served as Administrative Vice President alongside President Cole Bornfield and Executive Vice President Garrison Reed. Sam served the student body by helping create a record-breaking scholarship and serving as the chairman of the organization Board, where he distributed $20,000 to RSOs. After his term as administrative vice president, Sam ran for student body president and was sworn in at 19 years of age. In his free time, Sam likes to cheer on the Denver Broncos, fish, and spend time with love. Sam, if you would join me up here, we'll administer the oath of office. If each of you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of a member of the Board of Regents of Western Kentucky University according to law? Do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you, being a citizen of the state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state, nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending? So help you God.
I did.
Very good. Sam, let me present you with the Regents pen.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Thank
to
you. Thank you.
We'll be happy to present your pen next time you're here.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have all received copies of the minutes of the May 4th meeting of the Board of Regents. Do we have any questions concerning those minutes? Do we have any additions or corrections? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept, to approve those minutes. So I will have a motion, have a second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. You also have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the Board of Regents for June 2nd of 2023. Does anyone have any questions concerning those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the June 2nd Board of Regents of Western Kentucky University. So have a motion, second.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion, questions? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And minutes are approved. Motion carries. We are coming off of a retreat yesterday. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't thank all the people who participated in that. I felt like we had a very beneficial retreat. A lot of participation, a lot of good information, and we all enjoyed it, and I think learned a lot. So a real vote of thanks to all of you who participated in any way and contributed to that and made it such a successful event. I have been asked to announce publicly the committee assignments, and I have spoken with each of you individually about these committees, and you have accepted the assignment just for general purposes this morning, so everyone knows who's on what committee and that type of thing. I'm just going to go over them all with everybody. On the academic committee, the chairman is Dr. Philip Bale. The members are C.J. Nichols, Shane Spiller, Linda Ball, and Sam Kurtz. Finance and Budget Committee. The chairman is Mr. Gary Brody. The members of the committee are Shane Spiller, David Brinkley, Jan West, and C.J. Nichols. The Student Affairs Committee, the chairman is Dr. Melissa Dennison. Members are Sam Kurtz, David Brinkley, Doris Thomas, and Jan West. I understand from Ms. Dillon that that's on our website, but I informed her that this morning, looks like nobody knew that for some reason, but at any rate, those are the members.
Mr. Chair, I want to remind folks, both on the cabinet, but on the board, that the way this works in practice is the chair and I work together and have our weekly calls. But the chair of academic affairs works hand in glove with the provost to build the agenda. Finance works hand in glove with our EVP, Executive Vice President, Susan Howard, and then Student Affairs works directly with Ethan. And so one of the important things I think for the board to be able to get information is that close working relationship. And so to the members of the cabinet who are here, a reminder, make sure you exchange cell phone information with your chairs and keep in regular contact.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda then would be academic affairs. Dr. Bell, I'll turn that over to you. See it as you see fit.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, and I certainly echo his remarks in all of members of our board. And it's a joy to work with everyone and with the administrative staff. So we have 5 items on here that if anyone does not object to a consent agenda with those, these were discussed in meeting. Their action items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. Bud, do you have anything you want to add to any of those?
No, we talked about it at the last meeting. All of them are headed towards creating a more robust curriculum.
Anyone have any comments or suggestions? Motions for action items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. 5%.
So moved.
Motion. Regent Brinkley, and I believe Doris. Second. All right, any discussion, comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. We have 2 new action items, and but I will ask you to present those.
So I think the first one is 1.5, which is the approval of the suspension of photojournalism minor. We have an incredible photojournalism program, and they were with us on Monday at a retreat for the deans and directors, and they are in the process of redoing their curriculum. They will have additional tracks. Photojournalism has changed dramatically over the last 10 to 15 years. And what students want in that area is not only photojournalism, but they want photography, just photography, and they also want filmmaking and documentary. And they're in the process of building a whole brand new curriculum as we speak. And what they thought is that this minor would be redundant with all of the work being done in the new curriculum. So they asked for to be suspended.
Any questions, comment? You were treated to a presentation by them a number of meetings ago, and anyone that wanders down to look at the photos that they have on display have got to be impressed. So they're a jewel in our crown, for sure.
And are looking to expand, and they're looking to attract more students to the different areas that have just exploded along with photojournalism.
Do I hear a motion? Regents Spiller, second. Second by Regent Thomas. Any other comments or discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. One more item.
And the second one was 1.7. Or did you say 1.6? Sorry. That's the approval of the suspension of the certificate of the floodplain management. Asked for by the faculty, again, in a review of curriculum that I think is one of the best reviews that have been done of curriculum to improve. They've even changed the name. It used to be geology and geography, and the person in charge, Dr. Leslie North, told us they changed the name because students would say that and then walk away because they had no idea and did not want to be in geology or geography. So they changed to environmental, atmospheric, and earth sciences. Thank you. And they have done a great job at a total redo of their curriculum, and it's about to come through. And they have gone from somewhere around 25 students to somewhere around 115, 118. So it's been a great move for them, and they're moving forward, and they're kind of the poster child of how curriculum, a quality curriculum, attracts students to this institution, as we talked about yesterday.
What's the name of it again?
You're gonna do that to me. Environmental science, atmospheric science, and environmental. Earth science.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments? If not, entertain a motion for approval of the suspension of the floodplain management. Regent West, here a second. Right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Those are all of our actions. Special guests today. And
We do. We have, and following what we've been doing for the last year or so, we would like to bring in faculty to talk about their research and what kind of they're doing. And it's a pleasure today to have Dr. Catherine Leonard with us, who is the new Frock Family Chair of History. Dr. Leonard is a historian who studies American life and identity in the wake of the Civil War. She has held positions previously at Stanford University and Boston University. And today she will be talking to us about seeing American history through new angles. And with that, I'd love to bring her up.
welcome to Bowling Green.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my first day of school, so thanks for having me.
We're getting our money's worth.
I had to walk here from Regents Ave, so it's really far. So my name is Catherine Leonard. I am a new professor of history here at WKU. I'm Frock Family Chair. I study the changing ways that Americans understood the legacies of the Civil War and how those ideas were shaped by and shaped categories of identity like race, gender, and nationality. So I'm here today thanks to the Frock family's commitment to the study of history here at WKU, which I am seeing as a reflection of the broader values of this institution. The endowment of my position is a recognition that studying the past can play an integral role in the creation of a vibrant future for our students and the communities that they're going to build. So like other historians, I interpret, identify, and contextualize the primary sources that document life at a particular time and place. So historians focus on context, and chronology sometimes leads students to think that history classes will require the rote memorization of dates and facts. But the reality is that historians are interested in these details because we're trying to understand the experience of the people living. So thinking historically is less about knowing facts than it is about cultivating a curiosity. Historians constantly revisit foundational stories, symbols, and myths that we've received. By asking questions about context and change over time, we find new ways to look at the things that we think we already know. So my own first book project began with an object that I thought I already understood. So I was in an archive and I noticed a manufacturer's tag stitched into a white robe worn by a member of the Ku Klux Klan in the early 1920s. So practically, this should not be a surprise. There were millions of Klan members in the 1920s across the entire nation, and many of them wore identical robes, and those had to come from somewhere. But the truth is that I never really thought about it. And this is despite training in US history and a background in historic costume. But it still never occurred to me that the Klan's white robes and other. So looking at the Klan's most powerful symbol from this vantage opened up new questions about the formation of the Ku Klux Klan, the development of social divisions, the relationship between structural violence and individual responsibility. What emerged was a portrait of early 20th century Klan as a pyramid scheme, one in which uniform garments helped create profit and power for those at the top and provided opportunities for those at the bottom to promote the Klan's violent politics without taking responsibility for their actions. So studying the manufacture and distribution of factory-made Klan regalia illuminated a hidden chapter in American capitalism, which helps explain the enduring relevance of the Klan in our own moment. So my upcoming project explores the legacies of the Civil War through the changing memorialization of one of the Lincoln assassination conspirators. Drawing on my own family history, a strange branch of it, I'm using a story of Lincoln assassination conspirator Lewis Powell here on the right to explore how Confederate memory has developed over time. I focus particularly on the travels of Powell's remains and various relics relating to his crime and execution to see what roles museums, historic sites, and cemeteries played in contests over the meaning and lasting impact of secession. So my classes invite students to view familiar historical phenomenon like the US Civil War from unexpected perspectives. This fall, I will invite students to consider how torrential rain and mud shaped the 1863 Battle of Fredericksburg, and how formerly enslaved men used military uniforms to claim citizenship, even prior to the Emancipation Proclamation. These case studies provide students with a new lived understanding of the lived experiences of people in the past. But at the same time, it invites them to start thinking methodologically about the ways that historians ask questions. These skills, developed in history classes, are critical for students planning their own careers as scholars and teachers, but they're also going to shape the work of future engineers, scientists, and business leaders who develop and promote the technological tools that are going to change our world in ways that we don't yet understand. History classes, and indeed those in the humanities more broadly, help students cultivate lifelong skills: curiosity, problem solving, critical thinking, skills they will need to create a new future from the materials that they've been given. I'm delighted to be continuing this work alongside my new colleagues here at Western Kentucky University, and I really appreciate the commitment of this board to this endeavor.
Comments?
Thank you so much for that presentation. I've had occasion like to travel through Virginia on numerous occasions, DC and through Manassas and that area through there. And I think about, every time I drive through there, I think about truly how in the world march all the way up through those mountains and and then fight the battles and then, march back. And it's just amazing to me, the impact that just the terrain would have had on your Civil War. So, but I really enjoyed your presentation. I think you need to think about the past if we're going to make a good future for ourselves.
Your area of expertise reminds me of, we have a noted historian just down the road here in Nashville who recently published a book about Lincoln and the Civil War, Into the Light. But certainly a lot of lessons to be learned there and how important conscience was. And fortunately for the Union at that time, Abraham Lincoln had a large sense of conscience that may have been the difference, but certainly those lessons are important One of the comments I have to say, offend anybody by saying it, but one of the things that John Meacham says is that politics divorced from conscience is fatal to the American experiment of liberty under the law. And I think that's a strong message that history gives us. So it's great to have you here.
Well, Professor Leonard, since you are occupying a chair, we thought we'd give you a chair to occupy. And it's just, Clinton, leave, somebody get this on their cell phone. I gotta make sure Dick gets a. David, okay, you're skilled with this. So our new tradition will be that as folks get named to chairs, they receive a WKU chair. So you see our seal here, and then on the back, your name and the Frock family chair in history. So if you'll present that to you, there we go. We'll get our picture made with the chair. Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the business of the academic committee,
Very good.
which remains the heart of the
Thank you, Chairman. Finance and budget, Regent Rhodes.
Thank you, Chair Belkin. Without objection, I'm going to follow Dr. Bale's lead and approve items FB 1 and 2 by consent if there's no objection. If not, I would entertain a motion that we approve items 1 and 2 in finance and budget by consent. So second. Motion been made by Regent Spiller, second by Regent Franklin. Approve. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Our next item is the approval of the comprehensive banking services contract to enhance the treasury operation and financial services of the university. I'll turn it over to Susan.
Thank you. So slide deck here to run through. So as Chair Brody said, we're seeking board's approval to for a comprehensive banking service contract. So we went into this RFP with several objectives. So just to give everyone a flavor for what we're doing right now for if this contract is approved. We're working with several banking institutions for different, a whole laundry list of services. So currently Truist is our banking service contract, primarily banking services. And we've been using them for going on 30 years now. So before Truist, it was BB&T. And we use JP Morgan Chase for our Pro Card. We use PNC for our leases. And finally, we use US Bank for our personal banking services. And they also have a branch here on campus down in the DSU. So you can imagine what we're leaving on the table by spreading all these services out across multiple institutions. So this was a goal of mine when I first came to campus. And as I was telling Chair Brody earlier, is it kind of got put on hold because of as we all know, COVID. And so like a lot of things did. So we're now ready to bring this to you. And one of our first objectives was just increase consolidating banking services. It basically simplifies financial management and reduces the administrative burden. Cost savings through a comprehensive banking package. You have favorable fee structures and interest rates. Enhanced services, as you might imagine, when you go with a conference partner, you get better customer service, tailored financial solutions that you can't have with multiple partners, and I know modernization of our treasury function and risk mitigation. When you have multiple partners, there's a lot of risk on the table, and going with one will certainly reduce that risk. So these are the institutions that provided a response to our RFP. So Fifth Third, who currently does not have a presence in Bowling Green, the regional president is working to reestablish a presence in Bowling Green. JP Morgan Chase, Pinnacle, PNC, Truist, and US Bank. And the RFP committee narrowed it down to 3 institutions, being JP Morgan Chase, PNC, and Truist, and brought those 3 institutions to campus to present to the committee. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the committee, members of the committee. So Christy Smith, our controller treasurer, was the chair of the committee. Ronaldo, our AVP for budget and finance, was on the committee. Jennifer Tugas, who's over purchasing, our AVP for business services, was on there. And I know I'm going to miss somebody. Dean Shook, who is now departed, he was on the committee. And Martha Sales, representing the students, was on the committee. And Rainey McGill, the business, our budget manager in athletics. So these were how the awards went, as recommended by the committee. So banking services to JP Morgan Chase, merchant card services to JP Morgan Chase, procurement card services to JP Morgan Chase, fuel card services. That is basically a really niche service, and there was only one institution that gave a proposal on that, and that was US Bank. So I know we're still working through that. It is not very time sensitive. So personal service banking, US Bank, and that contract is pending since we already have a contract with them, and the capital lease services to JP. So let me explain the US Bank. So the committee tells me that it really came down to JP Morgan Chase and PNC, and PNC is very exclusive. They like to be very exclusive on campuses. So they did not want to have a branch on campus, and they would not allow us to have any other vendor on campus. So Martha, I know that you thought it was very important for us to keep the branch on campus for our students. So JP Morgan Chase, while they didn't want to have a branch on campus, they said they were happy for US Bank to remain. And I know that Todd knows that athletics has a lot of sponsorship with US Bank. Thank you. So the RFP timeline. So it takes a while for all of these things to work through. We formed the RFP committee in fall of 2022. Committee met several times to craft the RFP, and the RFP was released in March of 23. In April of 23, we received the responses from the 6 institutions that I just mentioned, and the selected banks were asked to present to the committee. The banking partner was selected in May of 23, and then for all you attorneys in the room, you will know that the contract negotiations, I was getting a little nervous, I'm telling you, because we went all the way through August, and Andrea laughs, we went all the way through last Thursday. And as a matter of fact, Lindsay, who works for Andrea, I had a meeting out on the innovation campus. Jennifer was on the phone call, and she said, Lindsay wants to add a word to the contract. I said, she asked Lindsay, she said, on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is it? Not that important. Jennifer said, okay, we're done. So we're bringing this to to the board today for your approval. Just some highlights from the JP Morgan Chase. I'm really excited to campus and to the board. So I know that this can sometimes be difficult, but JP Morgan Chase will do a full business process review of all the business process we have prior to implementation. And procurement cards, they are giving us a $75,000 signing bonus, and they have the best rebate program amongst all the response. Student group travel, this is primarily in athletics, and Regent Brinkley knows this as well as anyone. Students traveling with the university will have the ability to receive their per diem in some type of a declining balance card or a virtual wallet for the ease and convenience. And this means the coaches or folks traveling with students will no longer have to keep basically a bunch of cash in their wallet or pocket. So we're really excited about that. Remote check deposit. Thank you. All the checks will be scanned in the office, and that will eliminate the need for in-person deposits, and it allows for next day access to the funds. Smart safe deposit. The safe actually has the ability to count the funds that are deposited, and the count will have immediate access to the funds. We will have an armored car service. We'll pick up the funds periodically and deliver it to the bank, rather than what we do currently is we have one of our police officers meet someone from the bursar's office and walks the, that's what I was doing at the time, I thought, walking the cash to the bank. So the armored car service, they will during times that we have more cash on campus, like when tuition is due in the fall and in December and January.
I hope no bad guys are watching this right now.
So they will pick up the funds more often than they will in other parts of the year. Short-term investment, if you remember right, we brought that policy to you guys. I guess it was early in January, maybe timeframe. And we were using Sterling Capital to help us with our short-term investment. JP Morgan will have the ability for in-house investment services. So what that means is that eliminates the need for us to pay yet another financial institution $80,000 a year in investment fees. So the contract terms, the initial contract is for 10 years with repricing of fees to occur at years 5, 7, and 9. JP Morgan fees that we will pay them will be $33,000 a year. And those were the lowest fees from all the respondents. Contract incentives, again, the $75,000 signing bonus. They will provide 3 remote deposit scanners for us at no cost. 6-month waiver of the account analysis fees at $16,500 and an annual credit of $1,000 for banking. So next steps and implementation. So we're seeking your approval today. If that approval, if we get your approval, JP Morgan will be on campus working with the financial staff to start the business process review. Contract will go into effect in September, and that's when JP Morgan will present to us their findings from the business process review in areas for us to improve. October through May, it's not a turnkey operation. There's a lot of work to do when you change banks. So that will start in October and will run through May with full transition to JP Morgan May. So with that, I will take questions.
I have a comment. Susan made a reference to the College of Athletics and the petty, I don't want to call it petty cash because it's not petty cash. I worked at another university many years ago in an athletics department and fell into by accident on a couple of trips that responsibility. And I cannot tell you how important that one gesture. This has been going on for decades in athletics, and it is a very risky and unfortunately necessary exercise that this agreement will eliminate. It will make athletes safer. It will make coaches safer, make traveling safe. Because like it or not, because of rules and regulations that have nothing to do with the university, there was a lot of cash being carried around for these student athletes on their behalf. It was a dangerous situation that's been going on for decades. This single feature alone is an extremely valuable feature of this fund.
And one of the things we'll certainly work through with JP Morgan is some universities, I don't think we're quite ready for that, but some universities have moved to a cashless campus. I don't think our culture and our demographics are quite ready for that, but they will certainly point out areas where we can reduce the handing back and forth of cash.
We've all been briefed on this, all 4 Regents before this morning. And I want to thank you, Susan, and your group for all the hard work that you put in. bringing this into fruition. I personally think this is a great move for a lot of reasons, one of which Regent Brinkley just referred to. Efficiency in it. It's just, in my mind, you all have done a yeoman's job in negotiating this contract.
Right, if I could also make a
Please,
comment.
you to be committed.
One of the things that we have been focusing on is modernizing our processes and taking a look at every way in which the institution does business to create efficiencies to be able to kind of reallocate those to grow academic programs and make sure our budget is as lean as possible, but also as efficient as possible. And again, I want to add my congratulations and thanks to the folks who have done and will do this work. This is another sign of our maturation as an institution. Having a partner like JP Morgan says something about who we are as well, that they were interested in this contract and working with us. Again, we continue to advance the ball in terms of our movement toward a more mature institution. And thank you, Susan, for setting up a renewal process that will ensure that every certain number of years, we re-examine all of these relationships and contracts. I appreciate that sometimes deep partnerships and long partnerships are beneficial because of the depth of relationship. But they also can be costly if you don't have difficult conversations periodically around what things cost and what they might not cost. So congratulations on getting another one done. More to come.
Any other questions or comments? Before we vote, I too want to commend the committee for their effort. I know it took a lot of time and devotion to this, and we certainly appreciate it. Now I'd entertain a motion that we authorize the university to enter into an initial 10-year banking services contract with JP Morgan Chase. Motion by Regent West. Second. Second by Regent Spiller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Fourth item is that the board authorize the university to enter into a transit management agreement with RATP Data.
So, most of you, I think, know Jennifer Tugas. She's our AVP for Business Services. Parking and transportation is within that realm of services. And Jennifer actually came to the university to basically develop the parking and transportation office. So this has been underway since I got here back in 2019. So I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer. She's the expert in the area of transportation, and let her present the findings.
Morning.
Morning.
Slide deck. It should be a
Part of the-
continuation of the.
Part of Susan's.
Yeah, it was the same day.
Thank you. The agenda item before you this morning is a small step towards a much longer vision of working collaboratively with the city to reimagine what public transit can be within Bowling Green and serving both WKU needs and the needs of the students, but also the needs of Bowling Green community as well. And as we look at what we're trying to do today, it is a small step in that direction where the city and WKU combine to present an RFP to select a vendor that can provide both operations and management of transit services. So it's a single vendor providing those services for both the city and WKU. And through that RFP, we're seeking cost savings and improved services, both today and in the future, through that shared management and operations. And what I've been saying all along is we're looking for the win-win-win. Where is it we can provide the service for the students? Where can we improve the service for the city, and where can we see cost savings for both of those? It is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewals. And kind of on the backside of that, thinking specifically about what we were looking for from WKU is we were looking for maintaining the governance of over our routes and schedules, so that under this contract that will not change during year 1 of the contract, but also leverage contract resources, and that is shared labor and the ADA services, that the kind of robust ADA services that the city provides to try and both improve services for our students, but also look for those cost savings opportunities. We released the joint RFP in February, and we had 4 qualified responses. One company was a startup out of Texas. Another one was our local community action group that had been providing the public transit service for the city. And then there were 2 national contracts, MV and RITB Dev. And RITB Dev was unanimously selected as the preferred contractor due to the strength of their proposal, their familiarity with both the city system and WKU system. And the strength of the local management team, which is a really important piece when we talk about how the services are run, as the boots on the ground that are making it happen. And that local team from RITB Dev was much stronger than what the other vendors were bringing to the table. There was also an alignment of corporate values with both city and WKU values that really shown to me as, we're kind of taking a look at all of the proposals. That struck a chord with me. The city did approve the contract with RITB Dev with that service beginning in July. So when you see GoBG buses running around town right now, that is being managed and operated wholly by RITB Dev. What the agenda item today will do will approve an addendum to that contract so that we will join that contract. And assuming state approval, assuming board approval today, we would then send a personal services contract to the state for approval in September, and then the contract would go into effect October 1st. The biggest change that causes concern for everybody is what happens with the employees, the drivers today. They will become RITB Dev employees unless they choose not to. And then if there are opportunities for any of those who choose not to work collaboratively with them, with Andrea Cheryl, and look for other opportunities to stay with them. In terms of the operations, fixed routes and schedules will remain the same. The ADA service will be provided through GoBG, and that does a couple of things. One is it's a cost saving measure because it's a marginal cost for us, but it's an upfront cost. It's a marginal cost for the city, but it's a full cost for us to provide that ADA service because we need that driver on hand, for 8 hours a day, regardless if he gets 3 calls or 10 calls. Whereas for the city, it's just kind of incorporates into what they do on a daily basis. The WKU equipment and facilities will remain property of WKU, but the insurance will be carried by the vendor. So that will be a cost savings for us. WKU will be named as a second insured for that. RITB Dev will lease a portion of the parking and transportation services building. That's the footprint that's already being used by the transit program there. But because they're able to use the maintenance shop for both WKU and city vehicles, that again is an example of where the cost savings are coming from, because RITB Dev will not have to have 2 separate maintenance shops to maintain. As we look at the future, one of the things that the contractor will do is conduct a network analysis during year 1. So that'll be during 2023, 2024. And that kind of imagines if we were to take a look at our community as a blank slate, how can we build a program from the ground up to serve like WKU and Bowling Green? And then, looking for cost efficiencies, looking for improved service opportunities. And then any cost savings that result from that will be passed on to both WKU and the city. And one example I like to use is that, we've got two major employees on either end of Bowling Green. And if we were to have a shuttle system that, a shuttle route that connected both of those, then we can have students in the nursing program living on campus. Instead of having to drive downtown, they can hop on a bus to get there, and then you've got downtown redevelopment right in the middle. And we can connect the major employees with downtown. So that's an example of what could be as we take a look at that network analysis.
If I could add on there, this is actually, for me, the largest driver is that future opportunity. Some of you may know that we did this when I was in Lawrence, Kansas. There was a collaborative relationship between the city and the university that I was heavily involved in. And the great advantage to having a shared transportation system is that there are places our students need to go that are not just a circulator around campus. There are places that citizens need to go here that there's not regular transportation services. So for example, our young people need to get to Walmart and the mall. And we do get them there, but it's not just regular service that goes around. And then the other thing for me is we talk about the future of Bowling Green and Warren County and adding another 100,000 residents to our community. One way to accommodate those people is going to be wide every street in town thoroughfare. But the other way to do it is to think differently about transportation, and that alters a city sometimes. And I think it's going to be part of the conversation going forward with certainly with the commission. So I think there's some tremendous opportunities. Building off of the conversation we had yesterday, the future of the region, advance WKU and our partnership advancing Bowling Green and Warren County.
And the one thing that the university really brings to the table to help in that effort is the ridership numbers. And that starts to influence federal funding. And that's also something that becomes a benefit to the university in the long term. Is having access to those capital renewal funds, that's 80% funded through the feds, 20% a local match for that. So that there's a fiscal component to it, but certainly there are communities that are our size that operate combined systems. Successful because of exactly that. In terms of the budgetary implications, the contract does establish a fee for service of $97.31 per revenue hour. And that's how we will pay for the services. So every hour of a bus is out on the road, we'll turn around and basically send a bill for $97.31. So that's how that changes. But it does establish on the front end a sliding scale where if those service hours deviate 10% in either direction, it adjusts for that. So we know in advance. For instance, if we were to decide, okay, we want to cut our hours by 500 hours, that have an effect on the contract. It just lays that out on the front end so that we know what we're looking at. I'm projecting that for year one, we'll save approximately $80,000 with the new management and operations contract in place. The fuel and software costs, the technology that we're using on the buses, those will continue to be straight costs for us, and that basically allows us to avoid a markup by passing it through the vendor. So we'll pay for this. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Any comments, questions?
So when I think about moving some of our sources, some of our services, from in-house to external, the trade-offs that I think about are cost versus control, quality of service. And when I think about these drivers, I've heard good things about this company, but I think about these drivers are going to be on these buses that bus still has our name on it. Those students are still in staff, faculty are still interacting with people. As far as they know, they're WKU employees. This year represent us, even though they're working for an external vendor. what kind of control do we have over quality of the interactions of the people? Because I've always been extremely pleased with the drivers that we have on campus and the service they provide, not running over me when I cross the street.
Compliment. Oh, you really have to credit the drivers for the work that they do every day because it is not an easy job. Driving up normal. You know, with all contracts, we have contract oversight and we do have the ability to influence, you know, if we're getting reports of behaviors that are below what our expectations are, we certainly have the leverages to take care of that, certainly. I mentioned the culture of RETP Dev we've had a management contract with them since 2017 when they took over the McDonald Transit management contract. And their culture is it's very positive. And I expect that to continue and that certainly shows in what we see today with our drivers because it's the leadership today coming from RETP Dev that's so I would expect that to continue.
Any further comments or questions? Again, I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in working on this contract to bring it to us today. If there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the transit agreement with RETP Dev. Been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Chair, that concludes the financial budget area.
Very good, thank you. Next item on the agenda is student affairs, Regent Dennis.
I do. Talk to us about master plan.
Thank you, Chair Dennison, and to the Board of Regents, Bonnie. This is the most wonderful time of the year. It's the beginning of the fall term. And with students already on campus 2 weeks out before we start, we'll have a large influx of students who will be coming in starting tomorrow in preparation for participation in our annual tradition of the master plan. And I have people with me today to talk to you about the master plan program. So you'll know what our new students are going to be doing this next year. And it's also an opportunity to introduce to the board Dr. Catherine Roche, who's our new AVP for student engagement with enrollment and student experience. She's an exceptional addition to our team of leadership, and I'm so glad to have her here. Truthfully, personally, I'm so glad to have her here. And so it's my honor to both introduce her and then allow her to introduce her staff, who's going to be talking to you today about the master plan.
Good morning. As Dr. Logan said, my name is Catherine LaRoche. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Student Engagement. I am coming from Arizona State University, where I served there for 11 years in various roles, but primarily in housing and Res Life, and then the Dean of Students Office. But I'm very familiar with Kentucky because I was born and raised here, grew up in Elizabethtown, and my mom is an alum from WKU, so I'm very familiar with the university. I am excited because I get to introduce Jenny Hensley, who is our parent and family engagement coordinator, but I like to think of her as the mastermind behind master plan this year. And so she has a very good wealth of knowledge and is going to present to you what that's going to look like this year. So Jenny.
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine. Right here, got it. Okay, look at you, Jeff Younglove over there on technology. Had no doubts this would all be set up. We're going to introduce master plan with a video. And I'm going to talk a little bit while the video is playing. There may be some music behind it that we don't necessarily need to hear. So Jeff, if you hear some music come up, well, you can do that, right?
Right.
Okay. So, well, first of all, get started with just introducing master plan. That's supposed to work when I push it button? Sound anyway, so we're in good shape. Okay, We're going to start off just introducing this with a video of last year's program. And this is from 2022, and Katie Corbin over here to my left is the marketing genius that put this together. But it gives you a little snapshot of what we do, what the program is. A week long of a lot of energy, a lot of late nights, a lot of hands going into making this a true success. You will see activities that start on Monday. We've been training staff for the past week, getting ready for a week long of activities. That starts on Monday and truly ends on Saturday. It's a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. And personally, I would like to say I've been here for 25 plus years, and I've had the honor of doing some other great programs throughout the years, homecoming being one of them. And for me personally, homecoming was special because I was able to see, alumni come back and relive their college days. For me on this side, I'm getting to see it begin. And our students come in with zero expectation, big eyes, not sure what to expect. And by the end of the week, they have that spirit. It's there, they're ready to start their career at WKU, and it's truly just a ton of fun to watch it all come together. So just a few more seconds of the video to wrap up what we do, and then we will go through the schedule just a little bit so you guys see what's coming up for the next week. And we will talk through some of what we do, what we try to introduce to our students, and then we'll wrap up with a few photos, and then any questions, if you guys have any questions at the end. There we go. Okay. Okay, so the master plan officially kicks off next Tuesday. So when we say Monday, the reason we say Monday is because move-in starts Monday. So we will have over 2,000 students moving in Monday and Tuesday of next week. Thank goodness for lots of volunteers that come and help us do this. It's a special year because master plan is 30. Started this program in 1993, believe it or not. Okay, by the numbers, just a few things to show you guys what master plan is about. Currently, we have over 2,000 students registered to attend master plan. Next Tuesday, we will have probably 100 or more walk-ins that will sign up on the spot. So you're looking at a large percentage of our first-year students that come to master plan. We have those 2,100 students, we say. We break them down into cluster blocks, into small groups led by 79 cluster facilitators. Those individuals are across campus. So we have faculty and staff that come and teach these students. We have community leaders across Bowling Green that come and spend a week in the classroom with these students, helping them do everything from learning how to do their meal plans to knowing what Blackboard is. Some of the things that we talk about every day on the Hill that they're not familiar with until they come to master plan. We have 45 student mentors, just came from them. They're arriving here. They actually arrived last night. We train them to help lead our students throughout the week. Most of these students participated last year or the year before, and they truly come back. They move in early. They experience master plan with the students, and they're volunteers. They do it because they love it. And we have 35 pro staff members. And that is just a snippet of the pro staff that actually puts on this program. It takes a lot to put it on, plus a lot of resident assistant students that are helping manage all of our first year students in the residence halls. And it's not just fun and social, it works. And it is truly a retention tool. First to second year retention of students increases by over 7%. And the on-time graduation rate increases by 15% for students who participate in the master plan program. So it works, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, we're gonna go through just a little bit of the schedule, throw some pictures up there. It's a lot. I'm not gonna talk through every event, don't wanna do that to you guys. But here's just a few of the pictures too to show you. On Monday and Tuesday, when we have our residents moving in, we have hundreds of volunteers who come and help that move much quicker. 2 years ago, when my son was moving in, I wasn't in this position just yet, but I was overwhelmed thinking about how we're going to get all this in. Literally before we could get out of the vehicle, we had someone with a box there ready to help us. It's an amazing system and it's beautifully run, really is. So we do that Monday and Tuesday during the day. Monday night, we have a lot of students already here. So we put on a few activities for them. We show a movie. We're doing a throwback movie, believe it or not, The Parent Trap, not the original. The Lindsay Lohan version is actually throwback from the 90s. So little throwback. on the Monday of Master Plan Week. So Tuesday is when we officially kick off Master Plan. And the first event that we do is an I Am First welcome reception. And it's a pretty special one. This is our second year doing this event. And of the 2,100 students that we have coming back right now, almost 500 of those are listed, self-identified as first-generation college students. So we have a welcome event for them. We bring them in and say, hey, you are not alone. We know this is a lot, it's a little overwhelming, but we are here to support you. We have alumni that come back and are there in the room with them, faculty and staff too, that are also first-generation college students to support them. And then we go to our cluster blocks, those small groups with our RAs, and then we kick off the night with a lot of fun. These are some pictures from last year. We have our block party that's down in First Year Village Lawn. It's very Instagrammable, lots of pictures, lots of fun. And then we do our first traditional thing with the Topper Walk. And if you know Topper Walk, when they graduate, they're coming down the hill for Topper Walk into the stadium. For Master Plan, they're walking up the hill for their first Topper Walk to start their career at WKU. So we walk them, Big Red leads them. Sam's coming to speak to them, right? Yeah, that's right, that's right. We start the Topper Walk, First Year Village, and lead them up to the stadium, where we will do their picture. It's 2027 on the field. It looks so easy in the picture, doesn't it? Yeah. And then after the picture, we have a giant icebreaker for 2,000 plus students on the field. Super fun. Then we feed them pancakes over at Fresh Food at VSU. It's a late night and it's a lot of fun. Just a snapshot of the rest of the week. Every day we start in the classroom. So from 9 to 11, we have those small groups where they're learning. Those are mandatory. They have to come to those. And then we have a lot of activities through the day. The evening things are not mandatory. They're optional. They can go to any and all of them they want to. We want them to come to them. But if they have sorority activities and some of those other things, they're allowed to go to those. We do let them. We're not going to make that mandatory. But some things that are during the day, they're rotations. They're college kickoff events. We give them the opportunity to go into the colleges, meet with their deans, their faculty during that week. A lot of the activities in the night. This picture is from a Create a Creature. It is a Build-A-Bear with a WKU shirt on. Super popular. They go fast. Lots of fun things that we do. Bingo. We do a talent show. We do all the things. Thursday, again, we start inside the classroom, and then we have an on-campus part-time job fair for students who are looking for campus employment. We do our Living Learning Community has a kickoff for them, and then a social. More on Thursday, we have our Big Red Backpack where they can order their books. They can go pick those up a special time during Master Plan Week where it's a little less crazy and hopefully lines are a little shorter for them. And then a ton of activities that evening as well, all social activities that they often enjoy. And then on Friday, again, we always start with the classroom events. And then we have a large event in the Preston Center called WKU Involvement Fair. We have all of our student organizations that come in together, and they are just waiting for these first-year students to walk in the door so they can encourage them to be a part of their club and organization. It's a fun one on Friday afternoon. And then we move into Topper Traditions. And Topper Traditions is a fun one where we are teaching them how to stand up when we do stand up and cheer, right? How to wave the red towel. The coaches come and speak to them. It's fun, it's high energy, and it is a great way to send them out into Topper Fest, which is truly a community-wide event hosted by President Caboni right up here on South Lawn. So it's a fun evening activity for the entire community, not just for Master Plan students, for everybody in the Bowling Green community. Right, we want to invite everybody. Right?
Everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be on TV at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday to invite the entire city, county, you can.
Awesome.
Regents also are more than welcome to join.
And then we go into Saturday. Saturday is optional, but Saturday is a community service option for our students. Students can participate in any of these different organizations across the Bowling Green community. They receive 4 community service hours for participating. Our student activities runs this event, and of the over 2,000 students that are registered, over 500 of them have volunteered to be here on Saturday to spread that piece of service across the Bowling Green community. So we'll go through a few pictures, and then I'll open it up to any questions. This is just a photo from our movie night last year down on First Year Village. Picture of our Topper Walk last year. Great one. We've given them the WKU shirt for that first night, for the photo. Here's our photo on the field. Cluster blocks. That's where we take them into the small groups. Get to know them a little better. A lot of our different organizations have their evening events. This one is actually put on by ISAC and Living Color Community Bash. Master Plan's Got Talent. That was a new one last year, and it was exciting. We only had to turn the microphone off once. Our Living Learning Community Socials. And we even bring out Mr. Western himself, Lee Robertson, to participate in the scavenger hunt. You know, they're running across campus and we force them to sit down and have a little conversation with him, share a little wisdom. And then Topper Traditions. This is where we end on Friday with teaching them fight song. They might be a little tired going into Friday, but we lift their spirits and we get them on their feet at Topper Tradition. And then Topper Fest. And then Saturday's Big Red Blitz, just a little photo. Before we tell you that you can follow us all next week on any of our social channels, we will be doing pictures, videos all next week, and we would love to have you watch along, watch our students in action. Any questions that you guys have about Master Plan that I can help answer?
Great program.
Yes, it is a great program. Yeah, I am not the genius behind it by any means. I'm proud to have a really great team to help put it on. Thank you guys. It's a great program.
Awesome. I love Master Plan.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it's a great one.
Do you feel like it just grows and grows and grows, like it started smaller and maybe it's getting bigger and bigger?
For sure. Yeah, it really does. You know, we had some tough years through COVID, but it never quit. They did Master Plan even through COVID. And you know, 20 and 21 numbers were a little down, but we are back up right where we were. Yeah, it's a great program.
Do all that, and tradition side is one new thing that came. Walk.
Yes.
Symbolic walk, that was important to me. And then the community event will grow over time. This is the third year for Topper Fest. And it was a way after COVID to come together as a community to start the year. How do you engage the students in that? But it's, last year it felt real.
Mhm.
And this year it's going to be
What's the name of the event? And did we bring it back?
Topper Traditions. Yes.
Last year I was on campus, so I just snuck in the back and watched that, and just to see the energy in there, it was just invigorating to see that many people so happy to be here, so excited to get everything going. Kudos to you and all you put up with during that, and so it was. If you're around, I would suggest sticking in and watching.
Don't get caught with a blue shirt.
So is it for transfer students also?
Transfer students, yes, they can participate in it. It's up to them. I mean, it is mainly for first year students, but if we have transfer students that call us and want to come, absolutely. we let them.
What great orientation into the culture.
Really is. Before the hustle and bustle classes get started, they learn a lot on campus, and we hear stories for forever and beyond. Friends they met, spouses they met, all during Master Plan Week.
Well, I'd even just say, I mean, the number of things that we do to get, it's so hard to take an outsider. We know that campus is on. The number of volunteers you get, the number of volunteers we get when they come to the colleges to help with Master Plan and the orientation there. I think Martha's in charge of this. We set up people to give directions on campus the first couple of days. I've done that the last few years. We're standing under the hot tents and getting bottles of water, and we have very lost souls coming up to us. We have no idea what's. And we have our jobs on campus, but still the amount of volunteer work to take those outsiders and turn them into insiders who understand where we are, and also know where they're going and how to get food, other things as well. It's tremendous effort.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That includes super fairs.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is an executive. Stuart, I believe you have some presentations.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have 5 head coaching contracts on the agenda. Soccer and track are just extensions of existing contracts. The other 3, both of the golf contract, tennis, are new. because those are the only 3 head coaching positions that currently do not have a contract. And that has been used against our coaches in recruiting. People point out, hey, they must not believe in you because you don't have a contract. So in those cases, with those 3, it just formalizes their current employment agreement. It's not any change there. It just actually gives them a contract like our other 8 head coaches have. And in 4 of the 5 cases, the terms are exactly the same. The only one of the 5 that has a raise is soccer coach Jason Nidell. That's because he's going into his 23rd year. He's the 2nd longest tenured coach that we have behind on Travis Hudson. Done a really good job with the program, and we're a couple weeks away from finishing the soccer softball building. I feel like that'll give the program even more momentum, and I think continuity in that position is important now. I think it'll lead to even greater success.
So those are items 1 through 5, correct?
Yes, sir.
Got to entertain a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are athletic employment contracts.
Chair, since we did not cover these in committee, let's, one, please.
Okay.
I'll move to approve EX1.
Have a motion to approve the women's soccer addendum. Have a second. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. The second item is the approval of the addendum to the athletic employment contract for the head coach. Maybe a discussion concerning that. I'd entertain a motion to approve the addendum concerning the head coach. So moved. Motion is second.
Second.
A second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Executive item number 3, to approve the contract for head coach of women's golf. So moved. Have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item number 4, to approve the contract for head women's tennis coach. Any discussion? Have a motion? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 5, to approve the employment contract for the head men's golf coach. Have any discussion? Entertain a motion to approve the employment contract for the men's golf head coach. So moved. Have a motion, second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So that concludes items 1 through 5. Number 6, Amanda, I believe you're going to address that.
Yes. Thank you for having me this morning. We are excited to present an opportunity for a philanthropic baby for the Wendell and Jan Stroke locker room in the softball, gosh, I can't speak this morning, indoor facility. Wendell is a 1976 graduate of Western Kentucky University, and he and Jan are currently owners of Park Street Investments. They are very active in the Bowling Green and Warren County community, and the Strokes have been a fixture on the WKU campus for many years. That includes Wendell's time as a regent from 1987 to 91. He's also served in a lot of other leadership capacities across campus on boards and foundations. They've made significant gifts over the years to support the Hilltopper Athletic Foundation, the Alumni Association, and through scholarships for our students. They're very passionate advocates for Western Kentucky University. Athletics will cover the cost of signage in the facility. So we seek your approval today to honor Wendell and Jan's significant support to the facility with the naming opportunity of the locker room.
Thank you very much for that presentation. That is executive item number 6 to approve the naming of the soccer/softball locker room. Stroke. Have any discussion? I've entertained a motion then to approve this philanthropic naming. So moved. Have a motion second. Motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Brinkley, I think you have item number 7. Am I correct about that?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
I'll be brief.
Appreciate the time today, you all. And on a side note, before I get started, I handed out as a feature of being staff ex officio member of the Senate, the staff survey to all members of the board this morning, so you can see the results from that. Now, I'm moving into a different role, briefly as the executive director of public media. I wanted to really briefly discuss the purpose and reasons behind EX7 today. We would like to formalize the relationship of the Code of Editorial Integrity with the Board of Regents of the university. Before I enter into this discussion, though, I want to point out that both administrations, 2 most recent, have accepted this as a matter of policy at the president level since 2014. When we initially asked for this, and President Caboni, upon arrival on campus, had no issues participating as the administrative leader on campus. We're asking for the board to support this formally, and I want to give you all a little history as to how it came about, and quickly discuss it and talk about why it's important today. So, as many of you all know, public broadcasting in 1967 was really ratified with kind of an act through Congress to talk about interference, undue influence, control over programming content. That's something that we held as a sort of a sacred right and really honored since then. In 1980 and 1989, this campus began broadcasting. In 1980, the first radio signal went on the air. In 1989, the first television signal went on the air, both as non-commercial licenses held by the university and Board of Regents. 2013, 2014, Wisconsin Public Media, and also there was a concerted effort through our friends at Arizona State University recently at Cronkite School to focus on what was needed related to editorial integrity. As you see on the screen, there are, in the PBS world, we don't have clubs, we have affinity groups for advocacy. And WKU, because of our unique status in Kentucky as being the only joint licensee or dual licensee, so the only unit in Kentucky that has both television and radio. We're also an independent association member because we modify the PBS schedule to program for the local audience due to the KET, the distance of KET in the market. We're also members of the National Education Telecommunications Association, another one of the affinity groups, Small Station Association because of our revenue, and we're a university license association leader so we occupy 5 of the 7 affinity group slots. And because of that, we're also voting members in those areas. Here's why that matters. When we talk about civil discourse, First Amendment rights, those are important, but they also come with responsibilities. And public media has in this group, I tell you all, I've said this for years, this is incredibly intimidating for me to talk to. So when I stumble today, I don't normally do it in meeting behind the scenes privately with you all. Man, this is hot. Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Y'all have known this for you. It's so much easier sitting on the other side. In all seriousness, though, it has been great working with President Caboni and our previous administration specifically in these areas. We talk about shared viewpoints, sensibilities, and there's some of the, editorial decisions without influence. That is the pillar behind what we're trying to do. I want to stress publicly that this has never been an issue at Western Kentucky University. Not once. I've been on the campus since 1995, and I've never run into this issue. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen other places. And one of the reasons it's good that WKU can be leaders in this forum is when we see areas adjacent to ours. For instance, the headlines that I'm putting up there are, say, in some instances, these are perceptions, some they are realities, but they are also regional areas of influence where we see concern. When we have political pressure, alleged political pressure on public broadcasters, when we see court testimony that shows administration at adjacent universities exercising influence over content, when we see the governor in a state allegedly trying to revoke funding on political pressure related to underrepresented content, that's the easiest way to say that. We see national public figures that own conglomerates like Elon Musk labeling NPR as state affiliated when we all know the separation and the historic significance of it. And we move simply closer back to where West Virginia can't decide if they're going to do it or not. And we see our own state Senate in an ill-informed move, and I don't mind saying that because it was ill-informed. If they had the true story, the motions would not have been made to disband the board of KET. Because as we know as public broadcasters, we do not control, the board does not control the content or the character of the news. Lisa, who is our reporter that's here today, I have not one time, nor would I ever, or the president ever suggest even the content of the story that she might. It's not ethical. So what we're doing in this move is ensuring for future that the board, as a leader in the country, and I will be able to report out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, if this vote is successful at our national conference, that we have taken this step along with Arizona State University mentioned earlier, the Walter Cronkite School, and Wisconsin Public Media, who was also one of the founders of this movement, the importance of this. Now, it's great to get awards, right? And we've been recognized recently for Ohio Valley Emmys. That audio gentleman has the best hair in audio in all of America. But also, our student staff and student employees get recognized for these efforts. Now, we don't do these things, and we don't have this code for awards. The awards look nice. They signify a peer recognition. But what we mainly do this for are the students that we work with. We have 45 student employees, plus or minus one or two every day of the week. Constantly have a rotation of figures like Congressman Guthrie, James Comer, outgoing Supreme Court Chief Justice Minton, Rand Paul, Senator Paul. These people and Senator McConnell come through this facility. We need to know and believe that there will be no any of the content choose to or choose not right. And we have seen that demonstrated over and over again. But because we teach the First Amendment, we have to live it as well. And we also teach the responsibility with telling that story, not just the right to do so. So I would ask for approval of EX7 by the formal motion of the board. And please note an abstention from this purpose in the minutes. If you all have any questions, I'm happy to entertain.
Do we have any questions? Regent Brickman.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve it as submitted.
Have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion? If not, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
I've been asked to take a short break, so Amanda, I kind of interrupted you here, but let's take 10 minutes. And then we'll be right back.
Really good, but like take care of them.
And I think we're all set, man, and we'd be happy to hear from you.
Good to be with you all this morning to give my annual fiscal year report update as we close down our fiscal year June 30. So a chart I've been sharing with you all over the past few years, reflecting our gift receipt activity. And it's something I've often talked about is really looking at the financial health of our fundraising operation. This past fiscal year, we ended the year at $21.7 million, and that was down about 9% over the previous year. However, if you remember from fiscal 22, we had a very generous gift from Jim and Eva Martins to benefit the Alumni Center and athletics. We also had a 7-figure gift from Bill Gatton last year. So when you factor even just those 2 gifts in, I couldn't be more pleased with where our team ended this year. You all know what the last year brought. Record-breaking inflation, 19.4% down S&P. And so those create tremendous headwinds for fundraising. In the past year, Giving USA, the report just came out for calendar year 2022. And for the only the fourth time in 40 years of that report, there was a drop in donors and philanthropy across the United States. So again, when you consider those headwinds and you consider the economic situation that we've had over the past year, we really performed really well as a team to really hold our own this past fiscal year. That trend line you see there on the chart, again, reflects the activity of major gifts as a portion of that overall total. And you see that continues to go up. And again, when you look at that Giving USA report and you look at philanthropy across the United States, that's a trend that's happening nationwide. We take part in a benchmarking study as a part of EAB. It is called the Advancement Investment and Performance Initiative. There are over 300 institutions across the country that take part in that study. The institutions that we are part of a cohort include those like Bowling Green State University, Old Dominion, University of Memphis, South Alabama, Missouri State. So again, a great cohort for us to compare our results to year in and year out. And there were a couple takeaways from that I wanted to share with you all. So you look at number of alumni donors. We know those are going down, but we're not seeing the dramatic effect like some of the other institutions are. We have a very loyal alumni base. We have a 62% retention rate. And when you look at institutions across the country, they're typically in the 40 to 45% range. So we have a lot of loyal alumni and a lot of loyal donors that come back year after year. We need to find more, and I'll talk about that later. But again, with our benchmarks, we are right under the 75th percentile. When you look over to the part on the right side, that's the performance and the investment piece. We were right on the median for performance. And so overall fundraising production also includes planned gifts, other vehicles outside of the gift receipt, which I just shared with you. So 30.5 million is the median for that cohort. We're right on target. But when you look down the chart, we are funded more than $1 million less than our cohort peers. So when you look at the ROI, we are providing $8.42 back to the institution for every dollar that's invested. And our FTEs, we're down about 11%, according to our numbers. So again, when you talk about production of our team and what we're able to do, we're a small and mighty team, and we're continuing to invest in ways that we become more efficient in our operation.
You talk about the staff. You have in place to have it. That's been part of the conversation is that after we went through 2017, 18, there's been a kind of refocus and reinvestment to get us back to hopefully that median.
Sure thing. We have hired in the last year 6 new fundraisers. 3 of those started a year ago, 3 of those started a month ago. So again, when you look at the performance of our team over the past fiscal year with a brand new staff turning over, I am thrilled to think about the future and what we're building as a part of our operation. I spoke a lot with this group about our work with Evertrue, and the digital engagement platform that we obviously due to COVID had to invest a lot of resources into that technology and how do we connect with our alumni remotely. That was part of a strategic initiative investment from the president for 3 years. We had a great relationship with Evertrue. We learned a lot, but what we realized over that time is that we can bring that in-house now. We know that 80% of our alumni live within a 4-hour driving distance. We need to be with people in person. We're working through the process now to build out that program in a way that suits us. We've got this new staff. We're working on how do we leverage technology and the in-person relationship and to most efficiently maximize our staff and our team. Our beautiful alumni magazine hit your mailbox within the last month. I'm very proud of the work that our team has done to strategically align the content in that magazine with the strategic plan of the institution. The storytelling has really grown exponentially as we look at what our faculty and staff are doing, what our students are doing, and really showing that to our audience of how it aligns with the strategic plan and goals of the institution. This has been out about a month, and we're already getting great feedback from our constituents with the content, and it's beautiful, it's striking, you see it in your mailbox. This fall, we're excited to expand the reach of that publication. We're going to include prospective families and students in that mail. So again, we've included somebody from the provost office on our editorial board, making sure that we're sharing the stories that will help attract students and families to want to be a part of the WKU experience. Everybody's favorite homecoming. I'm pleased to share with you all today our big red, white, and blue homecoming. That is on November 11th. So we are leading into the Veterans Day celebration. This is our 3rd year of asking our students to select the theme for homecoming. In the past, it formerly was a bunch of adults that sat around a room and made that decision. And so we're pleased that we now include our students in that process. They submit their ideas and we vote on those ideas. So it will be a big red, white, and blue homecoming. We've also rethought homecoming week for the institution and how do we leverage the community and our campus in that week. One of the biggest changes that you all will start to hear about more is that we are going to change the HODA, Hall of Distinguished Alumni Luncheon on Friday, now to a Thursday evening event. And it will be more than just HODA. It will be called the Hilltopper Excellence Awards. And Melissa, we listened to you. People want to gather together and have a nice event annually on this campus. And so this will be our signature event for the year. A great way to celebrate our alumni and our community partners, while also celebrating HODA, which is a very important part of what we do. We also feel like moving it to Thursday night helps bring more people in to enjoy the evening rather than combining it to a lunch where you feel like you're rushing or people are leaving and we don't really get to spend that time celebrating as a community. So we're really excited to launch that this year on Thursday evening, which means on Friday will be our community celebration time. We always have our parade on Friday night. There's some changes coming to that. Our annual chili cheese luncheon that usually kicks off homecoming week will now move to Friday. That's an important part of junior achievements, outreach into the community, and we want to still partner with them on that. So that'll move to Friday. So Friday's going to be all about the community. We're going to change up the parade route this year. We're actually going to go down College Street into downtown, down the hill. Don't have to walk up the hill as a part of the parade. But really, we're going to bring it into downtown Bowling Green to marry the relationship between campus and the community. We've already been talking to the downtown businesses. They're excited, decorating storefronts, which shut the streets off. We're going to have a stage celebration. We're really excited to bring that to life this year. And again, really integrate that celebration between our students and our campus community with the Bowling Green community. And then finally, what are we up to this year? Opportunity Fund is something we are still working on. We've made a lot of great progress this fiscal year on that, and the president will share that during his remarks on Monday where we are. We're still striving to reach that $100 million mark, and I'm very encouraged that we will and not too distant future, be celebrating that mark. The Gordon Ford College of Business campaign. So as you all know, you see the dirt's moving out here. In the last week, we've just finalized our naming opportunities for that facility. There's a tremendous amount of interest in taking part in that facility. So we're really excited to start leveraging those opportunities and communication and conversation with our donors. The next three are our team goals and kind of our North Star as we look into this fiscal year. A digital user experience. We all know that everybody engages digitally, and we need a lot of work on our digital experience. And so we have a team within our unit who's really working to reimagine that experience from website to social to online giving, really trying to leverage previous relationships we've had with vendors, but exploring new vendor relationships and how can we create a more cohesive experience, easier experience for our users and our alumni to be able to access our resources. 1,000 new engagements, 100 new prospects. So again, when we talk about pipeline, we talk about it often, how important it is for us to get more donors and more alumni engaged with the institution. So we came up with this way to really monitor our work of having 1,000 new people engaged with the institution. So that could be through events, volunteerism, first-time donors. And then how can we, out of that 1,000 engagements, identify 100 new prospects that we are working towards new major gifts for the institution. So the team is rallying around that. That leverages our alumni engagement team along with our philanthropy team, and really brings a cohesive way for us to monitor our work as we look to build pipeline for the institution. And then the elevated events aspect. I just shared the Hilltopper Excellence Awards. We're looking at reimagining a few of our other events, the signature events for the year. We have the leadership and loyalty event that's coming up in September, our scholarship celebration in the spring. So again, how do we have 2 or 3 significant events and engage our campus community in a way that celebrates our students and celebrates our alumni friends? That's it.
I want to commend the staff and willingness to reimagine and re-innovate. One of the things, particularly in advancement and alumni relations, you find is because so many folks are connected to an event in the way it's always been, it's a difficult conversation to say, I know we've always done this, but the numbers have been dwindling. Can we think of something else that will grow engagement? And so those are tough conversations, both with volunteers and with staff, but I think we've navigated it in such a way that there is growing excitement around volunteer leadership and the staff to be able to do something other than what we've always done. And so that creates new opportunities for fresh engagement, additional cultivation, and ultimately more fun.
Linda, thank you so much for a great presentation. Certainly appreciate it and appreciate all the hard work. A lot of work goes into that.
It's a lot of work. We've got a really great team who are committed to doing the work and are excited to try these new things. So please come try our new things. That's the other thing. It may look different, but you know, we're always open to feedback and wanting to give you all a great experience.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Appreciate your work. Chris Capone?
Yeah, Chair Milton, I am on the agenda. We have a different regent in the chair seat today than we had last month, but I just wanted to say thank you to our outgoing chair, Regent Bale. Appreciate the past 2 years of service. Of the 6 years I've been president, 4 of them you have been chair. And our Wednesday afternoon conversations every week have been, well, really the highlights of my week a lot of the time, getting to visit with you and getting to know you and having, you having chaired the search committee that actually brought me here. Regent Bale says all the time, meaningful work and meaningful relationships. And of all the relationships I've built, ours is one of the most meaningful to me. So I wanted to say thank you for your service. And we have a token of appreciation for me, the rest of the board, the university, and you're not going anywhere. You get to build a meaningful relationship with our provost now. And so, but thank you for everything, Philip. I appreciate all you've done for the university, for me and Casey and for our students.
We didn't have a whole lot of fun those first couple of years digging out of a $40 million hole. But certainly the experience for me has been one of the highlights of my career. I can say that in all honesty, in being on this board and continuing to be on this board is a privilege that few people get to have. And as we've mentioned earlier, it's a great board, a great group of people, and be able to interact with people of this caliber throughout the university is a rare, uncommon honor to have. And bringing people like CJ on now, who's got a tough act to follow with her husband. But I too will miss those Wednesday calls to an extent. There's some as we've seen today, there's a lot of capability around the table for other people to fill that role. And I think this board was wise 30 years ago when they passed bylaws that ensured that there would be movement in leadership on the board. I think that's healthy and good. Yeah, I've got 4 more years. I'm not going anywhere, and I continue to speak up. There yesterday knows I was in silence just because I moved down the table. But thank you and everyone else for making me feel part of the family. As everyone knows, I'm not a graduate. I'm not an official alumnus, although we're part of the alumni group by check. And it's a great family to be part of. And it's like I said yesterday too. Yeah, we're not an R1. We're better. And I went through it all. And our students here get a better education because of all the hard work everybody in this room and beyond does. So I don't know what's in that package, but I'm excited to get it. Thank you. Am I supposed to open?
Well, yeah, let's see what it is.
BJ, did you do a red eye last night? Did y'all fly during the night? She's in Europe right now.
Yes, yes. I think I'm sleep deprived.
Beth, you have a scissor or something? Pop your knife.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic. And as most people know, my wife Kristen served on this board for 13 years. She too was first appointed to fill someone who wasn't staying on the board. I will have been on 14 years. I'm going to be here, but she will be thrilled with this.
That's great.
I've seen that. It's a beautiful picture anywhere. That is.
Here again.
Each got to have brochure. Wow, well, it's beautiful. Ambrosia, the chocolate of the gods. That's great. Very good. Thank you.
May I see it?
Face it towards the camera.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't expect this. Very nice. And our new chairman's doing a great job, I think.
That concludes a formal business meeting. Does anyone have any comments or anything they'd like to bring up before we adjourn? Everybody good?